joined once again by Greg Buchanan, host of the Tuesday Night Sports Show. And Greg, you were mentioning on your show tomorrow night that you're going to be having Wade Redden, a former World Junior Championship player, Canadian player.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I want to start. What happened?
Where do you start? Like really, and it was about a 45-second span where, in that game against the Finns, as the game went on, and Canada's only up by 1. It's not the Finns gripping their sticks a little tighter because they have nothing to lose. They're the poker player at the table. All chips are in. Whatever happens, happens. Canada has to win that game. So as the game goes on and it's too close for Canada, all the pressure's on them. They come down to get that goal that I don't know how that got in. They get a penalty shot in overtime, don't score, have a chance, one-timer at the side of the net, half the net is there. Stick snaps, come down, they score. And I don't believe there's an older guy on CBC that would say it's a hockey gods coming out because they beat the Dens 14-0. I don't really believe in hockey gods. It's just a tough break. And there's so much pressure on those young kids to perform. They're in Vancouver, they're in the national spotlight, and they have everything to lose. And God bless them that they played really hard. Unfortunately, didn't work out for them. You know what, to go to the Czech Republic next year, they're going to be a different team. And there, again, pressure on them to win, but a little different pressure when you're overseas.
Well, you mentioned heading into the Czech Republic next year. In their pool, they're going to have the U.S., the Russians, the Czech Republic, and the Germans as well. So it's not necessarily going to be an easy ride for Canada next year.
You know what, and you're looking forward, you'll get to play against Russia again, get to play against the Americans. They're going to be good games, but they're going to have to be ready. The Americans, of course, they're a contender every year now. The Finns going to be a contender now every year, and they have been for the last 5 years. And the Germans aren't going to be a pushover ever. So it's going to be fun next year and looking forward to it.
So let's talk about really quickly, there was one player on that defensive end for Team Canada from Lloydminster, yep. Ty Smith. It kind of seemed throughout the tournament that Ty Smith kind of became the guy between him and Evan Bouchard on that back end. How do you think his tournament went?
I think, well, his stock's already high. You know, he's a future New Jersey Devil defenseman. Had a very close chance of making that team this past season. He's a guy that logged a lot of minutes. The game of hockey is like a game of chess. You're trying to get minutes out of your back end, and you're trying to get quality minutes. And I think Ty Smith gave very good quality minutes. He was on the ice for the winter, but he was on the ice for a lot of good things. And I think he goes back to Spokane now and likely going to play in another World Juniors, all depending on the New Jersey Devils. But I think this will be his last year in the WHL, and the rest will be in the American League or in the NHL.
All right, so let's now shift into the NHL, and it's a weird time for Oilers fans.
Wow.
4-0 loss to Los Angeles on Saturday, and a 4-0 win against Anaheim on Sunday. But just how short is Chiarelli's leash if you're the Edmonton Oilers?
If you're an Oilers fan, you have to hope that he's not around for the trading deadline. You really have to make a move now. Because if he's around for the trading deadline, what are you going to do? Either you get rid of him before the trading deadline, or you can't have him around for draft day. The moves that he made in the last couple of weeks just left you scratching your head. Here's a team that struggles for secondary scoring, and they traded away one of their best secondary scorers, and they just improved their depth in the back end a little bit, not by much. This weekend, a microcosm of the whole season, looked horrible on Saturday. Probably the worst effort we've seen the Oilers all season. Then they look a lot better against Anaheim, but Anaheim is struggling badly. So how good did they really look?
Yeah, and 2 points out of a playoff spot, currently that final wild card spot for the Edmonton Oilers. Just really quickly, who do you think, if the Oilers do end up letting go of Peter Chiarelli, who takes that reins? Is it somebody like a Keith Gretzky possibly?
Well, I don't know if it's a Keith Gretzky, but I hate to say this, but you're probably going to look at some old boys coming in. A guy that kind of comes to mind right now is a Paul Coffey, who's been floating around in the Oilers organization, and he's been talking that he wants a GM job. So maybe Coffey ends up being in there. But yeah, very likely it's going to be somebody with some Oilers fingerprints all over him.
All right, running out of time here, but just let's talk about your show. What's coming up for tomorrow night.
Yeah, Tuesday Night Sports Show, Real Country 95.9, live from the Canadian Brew House. We'll have Wade Redden, as we mentioned, our NHL insider, also our football insider, three-time Grey Cup champion Paul Waldo will join us from CBS Radio and TV in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Eric Nelson will talk NFL, kind of a wild card weekend. Tough to be a Chicago Bears kicker right now. And also, we'll talk to Tommy Yanchuk from the Holy Rosary Raiders off to the UBC T-Birds.
Perfect. More primetime local news coming up.